Welcome to the 1% Doctor Podcast. What separates the good from the great, the standard from the extraordinary? It's not just skill, it's not just knowledge, it's mindset, it's execution, it's the relentless pursuit of growth. And that's exactly what we talk about here on the 1% Doctor Podcast. I'm Adam Lamb. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. Back to the 1% Doctor Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lamb. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Bianca Busch. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on the show today. She's a psychiatrist. She does a lot of really cool stuff. But I want to start first with what got you involved? Like, when did you decide you wanted to get into medicine?
So I've always been curious about the sciences from little, doing science fairs, all those kinds of things. And I would have interesting questions for my pediatrician. I can remember asking him, like, why do we have eyebrows? And he was like, well, we have them to keep stuff out of our eyes. I said, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So from there, I was always exposed to different things in medicine, science, engineering, and I loved it. So from early on, from elementary, middle school, I knew I wanted to be a scientist, and I just continued to follow that passion through high school and went into college knowing that I wanted to be a physician.
Wow. Yeah, because the science path, when you think of psychiatry, like that's kind of the science brain, right? Like, and why we do what we do, which I think is one of the most interesting. I love the physical side of our body growing up and working out, and where I love that I'd see these guys on TV or movies, and I'm like, how do you look like that? And realizing, like, oh, you go to the gym, you eat a certain way, you can try, like, the physical side. Then as I got older, I think in my late 20s, early 30s, I really got interested in the psychological side of it. And so was there a change for you, do you think, from a science side? Like, what led to the science of the mind over, if you could have gone down any path, why choose that path?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I did take the basic sciences, but decided to major in human development, which is a combination of psych, soc, anthro, and bio. And that was really when I was exposed to psychology and sociology. It was fascinating. You get to study and think about people's behavior through their different stages of life, particularly for human development, and I was hooked. Now, going into medical school, I thought, oh, I'll do pediatrics because I always loved taking care of kids. And I had 7 years before medical school, and I worked with children and families during that time. But I got there and pediatrics was not as fun as I thought it would be. And then my first rotation was I went to medical school in Colorado. It was at the state hospital, the forensics unit. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. People were there to be sort of restored mentally before they went back to jail or to trial. But it was incredible to see folks who were either manic or psychotic who had committed crimes, but go there, get medication treatment, and they were completely different people. It was kind of sad when they had to then go back to jail because you're like, "Oh, you are so much better." But I was hooked at that point. It was my first rotation, and I was like, okay, psychiatry is for me. I'll probably do child and adolescent psychiatry. And so I did all of my other rotations with gusto and, just excited to do them. But I knew then psychiatry is for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably find it pretty fulfilling too. As you lead people through challenges and some of that stuff. What do you think some of the most fulfilling areas of it? Like, if there's something like your specialty or the thing you feel most rewarded with, is there anything specific to that?
Yeah, so I have probably two niches. One is working with college students, and the other is working with folks who have test anxiety. So with college students, it's incredible. I've had my practice now long enough where I've seen people from the very beginning of college all the way through to their first jobs. And so what's fulfilling is to see them grow and develop over that time, to sort of grow into adulthood, taking on responsibility. Also to see them through the ebbs and flows of their mental health conditions, times when they're well, times when they're not well, and then to see them succeed. I just saw a patient who I've been caring for since 2000 virtually, and we met for the first time last week on Friday. She
Wow.
just so happened to move to the DFW area where I am. I've taken care of her. She's from Massachusetts and went to college in Hawaii. So she has her first job. She's been well. She hasn't been sick for a number of years. So fulfilling. So that's one area. And then to help folks with test anxiety who are super smart, but they get to that test and they can't access their knowledge, to see people do the things that I am teaching them, work with them, and then they get to their tests and they pass. That's the best.
Wow,
That's the
I mean,
best.
that's interesting. I think it's something that probably isn't talked about enough. I think that I used to remember back in, let's say a previous life when I used to be in the financial space,
Hmm.
I was a loan officer. So I was licensed
Mm.
just prior to getting in the healthcare space. And that's what gave me the idea, like I was sharing earlier about telemedicine is
Mhm,
I worked in brick and mortar mortgage company, wore a suit and tie, did mortgages, sat down with
mhm,
people,
mhm,
you going over the phone, virtually licensed in, I think I was licensed probably 38 mortgages all over the country and do it over the phone. And that's where I had this aha of like, you could do healthcare this way. Yeah, like I think there's a way to do it, which gave me the idea for the first
huh,
company I started to do telemedicine. But the reason I share that is that I remember I had to go every couple of years and get licensed in the
mhm,
states, and it's like I knew this stuff. Now there might be nuances of, hey, in Tennessee XYZ, but in Texas ABC.
mhm,
So it's, but I'd get so much stress and anxiety because I wasn't a good test taker in school. So I had this story that like
yes,
I'm a bad test taker, and I continue to believe that story,
yes,
and so there's again, like that psychology. I love that, like how you put it of like being able to access the information that they know. Like talk about how you help people do that. I think that's something that's
yeah.
really
And what you said, I'm a bad test taker. Oh my gosh, that is a story I hear over and over and over again and time and time again. And you're so right. It's really sort of getting there mentally and reworking that story and coming up with a different narrative for yourself. So a couple of things is really doing that, thinking about what are you telling yourself? What is your mind saying that might be getting in the way, right? And then really tackling that and trying to reverse it. And then also thinking about what happens with your body as you show up to that exam. What are you experiencing? Is your heart racing or your palms sweating? And then going through techniques to help get your body out of that fight or flight, right? Because that's a sympathetic
yep,
activation.
yep,
And so getting you into the parasympathetic is really what I focus on. So those are the two main things. And, it's not super complex, but for high achievers, you're so used to getting in there, executing, achieving. This can be something that's overlooked. So one thing I would say is like, I am the mindset girl, mindset woman. I'm not the content person. You get the content, and I know you've got the content because you've made it this far in your career path or whatever it is. But let's get up here and figure out what's going on.
yeah. I love that. And I was actually just watching a podcast over the weekend with Tony Robbins and a gentleman, Alex Hermosi, if you've heard of him. It's a great podcast. But Tony's all about that mindset. Our words create our reality.
Mhm.
He talks about getting into state, you know, like
Mhm.
like prepping, whether it's an athlete getting ready to go out in the field and they have their like routine, or a golfer getting up to swing, or a batter. There's public speaking, right? But
Mhm.
I hate public speaking. Well, like I love those challenges of changing it. And some of the other stuff that I see, especially, I coach a lot of doctors, so that
Mhm.
some of are used to the chaos, and that they
Mm.
feel if it's not chaotic, because part of what I've done was helping them transform their practice to be like
Mhm.
organized process. And I've had him. I just had a doc earlier this week. We were talking. He's just like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And I'm like,
Hmm.
dude, we've 6X'd your practice. You've hired more
Wow.
people,
Wow.
but he's just not in that state of fight or flight. But
Mhm.
he's used to it, right? He was so
Yeah,
used to, like, it's like if he doesn't feel like he's being at war, he doesn't feel like he's doing it, right? Like if that makes sense. And
it
so
does.
yeah, it was interesting, just like helping him reprogram that you're in the right place when you're at peace,
Mhm.
calm, and things of that nature,
Mhm.
not when you're running around like a crazy person,
Mhm.
but it's taking all that he knew and everything about what he does and transitioning it, like, and creating the new story or the new narrative that, like, you
Mhm.
so
Hmm.
who's your demographic primarily for testing? Is it the college students,
Mhm.
stuff like that? Talk about that.
No. Well, test anxiety applies to everyone, all ages. And so I just spoke with moms of high school students with the Young Men's Service League. But I found for the course that I have who really is needing the help and who just they're at a place where the stakes are very high are physicians and medical students who are approaching step one, step two, and then board exams. I'm really finding that I'm most helpful with physicians who have failed their board exams once or twice, sometimes even 3 times, because then at that point, they're starting to build up this anxiety response even when they go to study for the next exam. So it's applicable to everyone. But last year I did a lot of listening to people, and I listened and talked to over 100 people in general, but the bulk of them being physicians. And that is a group where I don't know, I can speak their language, and I found that I've been able to be very helpful to them. Hang on, for some reason, I'm not able to hear you. Let me see what's
Wait, no,
going
it's
on.
me. I can't me.
There
I'm
we
sorry.
go.
We'll edit that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go back to because I can hear.
Okay. Tell me what could you not hear?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep. Can you
You
hear
hear?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try the headphones again.
Sure.
Sorry,
That's okay.
it's my bad. 'Cause I
No.
clicked
Let
the
me see
mute.
here. Let me just make sure these don't connect to my phone. Okay. Now I can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, we'll go back to that. So,
Okay.
primarily, are you helping people with like MCAT, like getting prepared for the MCAT, or
So
is it like after they? I mean, are you trying to reach people before they take the test to say, look, let's get you in the right mindset, let's get you in the right like? So what are some of the things you do with them for those?
that would be say that would be ideal indeed that I can you hear me? Okay. That would be ideal that I reach them before their MCAT. So some I have reached before their MCAT to start to get these skills, but a lot I end up meeting once they get to step one or before step one, and then thereafter with those exams. And so, what am I teaching them? What am I talking about? Again, really, I start really even before the mindset stuff. I think about learning style, organization, because sometimes how you've been learning in college does not serve you for medical school. How you've been learning in medical school may not serve you well when it comes time to prepare for your board exams. So I start there and then really doing a little bit of a dive to think about core beliefs and how those are impacting your statements that you're saying to yourself. And then really, again, getting into the body, seeing what people are experiencing. It's beautiful. As a psychiatrist, I have so many tools that I can use, right? I have the psychology stuff, but I also have the body stuff. So I also think about, nutrition, sleep, aromatherapy, those kinds of things that can be helpful to people.
I mean, prescription. Do you have? I mean, there's one like a pro. Yeah, that like is that's something that maybe someone might take before like a public speaker. Or,
Hmm.
I don't know if you take it for test taking or anything like
You
that.
can. You can. Propranolol, hydroxyzine, those are some popular ones, although hydroxyzine can sometimes make people sleepy. Also, anxiety and ADHD can sometimes go in hand. So if people are needing to be treated with a stimulant medication, that can be helpful. And if someone has just a general anxiety disorder, they're kind of worried about everything, might need to be on a more of a longer term medication as well, like an antidepressant or SSRI, something like that. So again, it's beautiful that I have all of these tools that I
Yeah,
can draw from. I'm a less is more, a less medication is
yeah,
more kind of
for sure.
person. So I like to start with, all these other things, but if we need it, we have it there.
Yeah, how can we help control your environment?
Mhm.
I think is and that was something I was talking with somebody on, like Xanax is an example of like, having
Mhm.
anxiety, take the pill. How do you feel? I feel great. What changed? Okay. And then kind of having the and then working with the mindset of
Mhm.
like you can do this yourself, like in teaching and training them to,
Mhm.
like you said, you're a mindset girl, like of being able to help. What are the steps? Is it breathing? Can we focus on some
Mhm.
breathing? Can we focus on some physiology stuff that
Mhm.
helps quiet the anxiety and get you reframed? I think that's super interesting. There's a doc I can introduce you to who he has like a, a company helping people prep,
Mhm.
excuse me, the content of like
Mhm.
an MCAT, but I don't think he helps with the
Mhm.
psychology behind it.
Mhm.
Right? That could be
Mhm.
a cool
Mhm.
partnership for you. I'll make an
Yeah.
introduction.
Yeah. I would love that. Mhm.
Yeah. And so you're not really helping them with the content that they should
Mm-mm. Nope.
memorize.
Nope. No, I'm not the content. I'm just the mindset. Because again, I believe at this level, and even for high achieving high school students, high achieving college students, the content is a lot of the times not the issue. The issue is when they get to sit for that exam, not being able to get access to the information that they have. They've studied diligently. For physicians, they're excellent clinically. They're practicing it every day, but they just sit for that exam and they can't do it. They're blocked.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. You're like the key. You help them with the key almost, like
Hmm. I
trying to
like
help
that.
them before. What are some things that you could share that maybe someone listening like that's like practical that someone could like connect to as well? Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what are some of the things that you see like the biggest challenges maybe that people might have, like some general stuff, that's not unique to any specific person that they might have.
That's a good question. General stuff. I would say maybe not rehearsing the test scenario in their mind in a positive way. So
Oh,
that's
so
something that I work with people. Is the thing that made me think about it was that you mentioned athletes, and this is what athletes do. They visualize themselves hitting the ball, making that three, and we can use that same psychology for testing. So one thing that I do, and people can do this themselves, but I walk through test day. I start with, you're waking up in the morning. What are you having for breakfast? What are you doing with your kids? Are you driving to the testing center? If you're in a major city, are you getting an Uber? Are you making it a silent Uber, right? I walk through every single step. And then and you can do this yourself. And then I record it and I send it to them so that they can listen to it in preparation for their exam, right? We're going step by step. Okay, you're at the test center and you're practicing calm. All right, you're taking a slow breath as you open that door to the Prometric Center, and you're going to sit down in the seat and you're calm. You're waiting for them to call you. So it's just really, I think what happens is people can rehearse chaotic scenes
called,
or
called
anxiety provoking
Crazy Eight,
scenes.
the Crazy Eights. They're like,
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
this happens, gonna traffic, and then everything
Yes.
that happens that they already created fear around, like
Yes.
traffic or this, like, and then everything compounds, right? It's like,
Yes.
oh, there's a line at the coffee place that they weren't expecting,
Yes.
or coffee order got screwed up. Like, and again, like
Yes.
the stuff that we're talking about can apply everywhere in life. It doesn't even have to be
Absolutely.
test taking. There's just some of these
No.
things like, how do you respond
Mhm.
versus react to
Mhm.
just every situation? Like for me, I have
Mhm.
a morning routine. When my alarm goes off, I don't fly out of bed. I
Mhm.
literally lay there. I
Hmm.
shut the thing off, and I lay there and I think about all the things I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
Get into a state of gratitude, literally before I
Hmm.
go to the bathroom. And
Mhm.
I started doing that a few years ago because I saw this disconnect of people that just rush through their day. That's this momentum that they're creating, and this is the state they're putting themselves in,
Mhm.
this fight or flight state that's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're just trying to get to work.
Mhm.
And so I started this thing because I had the same issue, is just get in the state of gratitude. And then I sit up
Yeah.
in my bed and I pray before I leave. I set
Yeah.
intent, like, I don't know what you have for me today, God, but like,
Yeah.
lead me. I want to serve. I want to have my heart and mind open to whoever you're going to put in front of me to help
Yeah.
provide whatever you've called me to provide. And like just getting in this place of gratitude and service.
Mhm.
Then my feet touch the ground and I
Mhm.
say thank you with each foot. Thank you.
Mhm.
Silly, but it's like I've done it for 4 years. And then I'm in peace. My morning routine of getting ready, and it's okay, like, that part is almost a non-negotiable, whether I go do a little workout or I do a sauna or whatever, that stuff does depending on what I'm doing, what the day is, but that not leaving my bed until I'm in this, like,
Mhm.
state of gratitude is
Mhm.
mandatory
Hmm.
because I wanna be ready to serve,
Gosh.
receive, and
Yeah.
but again, it's like you spent 30 years doing it the wrong way for so long, it's hard to
Yeah.
conditioning, but I think that's
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that you teach, it sounds like.
Yeah. I love that because I was even thinking about, what if as I was reflecting, I just took my child and adolescent psychiatry boards in September, and I had failed them once. This is why I'm so passionate about it because it's also my story.
Mm.
But I was thinking, like, gosh, what if you approached your test like that, right? Like, what if you said, "Thank you, God, for this opportunity to show what I know, or to even get to this point," right? Like, that's so different than, oh, I have to take this test again. I hate it. It hates me. It's such a different way of approaching it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
a lot of high achievers, and especially what I found with physicians, is there's so much of this performance piece that's like I'm only as good as, and my value comes from, and the
Mhm.
validation comes from the
Yeah.
test score, like all of these kind of, did I get this? And where did I finish my class? Like my GPA, like just
Yeah.
over and over and over and over, almost like just getting to a point of being like, dude, you're good enough. Like your life is
Mhm.
like, imagine what, and reframing that mindset. And again, there's just areas we have to walk through that and get better at each situation. It could be
Mhm.
something that I was called like the spilled milk piece, right? And there was a time with my kids when they were little, if they knocked over milk, I'd be like, "Oh god," you gotta like go grab the paper towel. And where it's like the milk spills, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go get some paper towel, and the cat's coming over, and so there's just how do you respond and react? And I think learning,
Yeah.
teaching that, because I love that what you're talking about is the content isn't always important, how you access it, and I think the state that you approach it.
Mm.
Even, I've worked with a lot of guys in the men's health stuff that have like,
Mhm.
sexual anxiety, like it can
Mhm.
happen,
Mhm.
men's issue, and that happens
Yep.
is they get so caught up, what if, that it
Yeah.
creates the issue
Yeah.
versus getting out of that, right? And then
Yeah.
there's guys I've worked with, like special forces guys that I'm like, I think
Yeah.
it's anxiety. They're not, I have anxiety, I get,
Yes.
they're like in Africa 3 weeks ago getting shot at some rescue mission. And I'm like, but friend wants to,
Yeah.
get intimate, and all of a sudden something comes
Yeah.
over them, and it's
Yeah.
like how to unpack that. How often do you find that, like, maybe with some of the people you work with, there's some past trauma, past performance, like,
Oh, yeah.
dad, before going to school, dad said this or mom did this, and
Yes.
that's the voice that they're hearing in their head, and pulling that out, because maybe it isn't just get in the right state of mind. It's just like,
Yeah.
what do you even let enter your mind? I mean, how much
Yeah.
do you see that?
Very often. And so that's one of the places that I start is sort of with that core belief, right? What was the first time that you felt like you weren't academically successful or someone else felt like you weren't academically successful? And it is unfortunate, but those stories just repeat and repeat and repeat. And they can be there and really you can overcome them, but sometimes they'll pop up when you least expect it. So I find that's often the case, whether it's came from a parent, whether it came from one time that they failed. I have a patient that I've worked with who had a late diagnosis of dyslexia, but for the longest time, she just felt like she was dumb because she
Yeah,
didn't have the diagnosis. And
yeah,
so even now, even with the diagnosis and having had many successes, that story is still percolating in her mind. So I find that that's often the case, and we have to sort of get to that root and have to uproot it to be able to move forward. We don't have to stay there. We don't have to stay there, but we have to, I think it's important to acknowledge it.
exactly. Yeah, no, I love that. I agree with that. I think too often, in some cases, the problem is the place you spend the most time in,
Mhm,
uh, which can create a crutch versus like, let's address it, let's get over it, let's move on,
mhm,
let's develop some sort of power. And
mhm,
dyslexia, I love that you brought that up. Is
mhm,
um, I'm undiagnosed, but pretty certain in the
mm,
research and the people I've worked with.
mhm.
Because I mean, I probably read 7 books until I was like 30 years old. I hate
Wow, wow.
And then I got into audiobooks, and I went and
Uh-huh.
read over 700 books. I've authored 2 books.
Wow.
So the
Yeah, see?
story, I hate reading, I don't like reading. No, I just didn't like what I didn't wanna read, like, I didn't like Shakespeare. You give me certain books that I was interested in, I couldn't put a and then the information, I was addicted to the information, but having to read it, I
Mm,
struggled with, and so again,
mhm,
I had
mhm,
the story, I was dumb. I barely could get
mhm.
past pre-algebra in high school.
Wow.
Like, I struggled with it, it didn't make sense to me,
Wow.
and then fast forward 10 years, I was a portfolio manager
I know,
managing a
like, and you were working in finance.
Right, like, and it made sense because there was an attachment, there was a story to, like,
Yeah.
A plus Y minus Z, like, my brain was like, "What?" It was like
Mhm.
vegetable soup, but when you attached it to actual numbers, I could see it, and I was like,
Mm,
even with my son, I remember he's a senior, but when
mhm.
he first got into pre-algebra, I'm like, "Wrong parent, man, sorry." What they had now that they didn't have then is they had, like, kind of videos explaining it. I was like, "If you had a business and that business grew $5,000 per month, month over month, where would you be in month 6?" I'm like, "Oh, that's easy. Like, I can do that in I can do that in my head."
Yeah.
So it made sense, and then seeing for my son that light bulb too, realizing
Mhm,
that I believe him and my daughter learned similarly than I did, just learned differently, right?
mhm.
I think there's a content piece, right? And even, preparing for the test, but, I'm sure you probably see just even with young adults, how they learn, and then
Mhm.
we help them reframe. And that's what I had a
Mhm.
doc was saying to me as it pertains to like dyslexia. He's like, most people, Adam, see the problem right in front of them. Your brain's already
Mhm.
like going from behind.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
understand it served me in business and some of these other
Uh-huh.
things. From a problem solving standpoint,
Uh-huh.
I'm 15 steps ahead
Yep.
once I learn how to get past the first step. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I get stuck at the first step because I didn't see
Mhm.
it. Everybody else did. And again,
Mhm.
had the belief that I was dumb, I
Mhm.
wasn't good in school, that wasn't for me. And then it's like fast forward, I'm like teaching, like
Right. I love
and
it.
it's been awesome, and I love, and that's why
Yeah.
like I really love what you do because it's what what we're really talking about is helping create a different perspective to a situation, right? That
Yeah.
allows breakthrough and you get to unlock
Yeah.
people. Well, tell me a little bit about, so if someone is listening to this and they wanted
Mhm.
to work with you,
Mhm.
because I think what you do is fascinating and it's so needed. And it's, it's again, theory, story. Society's like, hey, if you can't do it this way, you're stupid. If you can't do it this way, you're wrong. Imagine how many amazing physicians that could be
Yes.
that throw in the
Yes.
towel because
Yes.
they just don't take the test
Yes.
well, and the
Yes.
opportunity to talk to you that could change it. And so like that's what I see, that because the other part too is courage, not really the courage, but the confidence that comes with success, right? I call it building
Mhm.
stackable evidence.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
as you win and you figure out how you need to win, you develop the stackable evidence that
Mhm.
gives you confidence to go do more. Well, I can go start
Mhm.
this, or I could go, you own your own practice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
have had the story that's, oh no, I got to do this. I can't figure out business. I'm not good at that. I'm not
Right.
in all different areas. And then as you learn how to unlock that for yourself, you're able to go do more. Again, your impact and helping people, which, what, like I said, I'm called to serve. And so
Yeah.
I don't want to limit how I'm able to serve people. And so what's in the way? What's the blocking piece? And
Yeah.
so that. So talk a little bit about how someone could find you and work with you.
Mhm.
We'll put all this stuff in the show notes too.
Okay.
But yeah, explain that.
Yeah, sure. And I just wanted to touch really quick on what you said, because if you would have met me in 2024 or 2004, 2005, when I graduated from college, my GPA was a 2.5 science, a 2.9 overall. Actually, they said, "No, medicine's not for you. It's not gonna happen. Forget about it. Go into public health," you know? And so I learned differently, just like you. And as you said, our minds, they go all the way around, and that makes us really incredible, right? And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, because wow, no one would have guessed that I would have been here where I am today. But it also has helped me be a business person and think about things differently. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because people have so much potential and I just want them to reach it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to add that little bit in. But if people want to work with me, hear more encouraging stories and things like that, you can definitely check out my YouTube, which I've just started. But I have some great videos on there with tips to help you overcome test anxiety, bits of my story. If you're wanting to know more about the course that I have, it's very short, 4 hours, tackling all of these things. Folks have found it really helpful. www.testanxietynomore.com. You can
Mm.
find everything there from the course. And then I also do some one on one coaching. And if you're interested in working with me clinically, I'm licensed in 12 states. You can go to drbiancabusch.com, drbiancabusch.com. And I'd be happy to help you there too.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. So you're licensed, and you do a lot of it. It's virtual, right? So
Hmm.
people reach you, which is super helpful.
Hmm.
I love that. And so drbiancabusch.com
Hmm.
is the for that. And then what's your YouTube channel?
YouTube is Test Anxiety No More. So at Test Anxiety No More. Yeah.
Test Anxiety No More. And we'll put all that in the show description and everything so everybody can see that. This has been awesome. Again, I'm so blessed to get to talk to so many different doctors and so many different specialties. And one of the key things I'm always looking for is like that heart to serve people that may not just be the easy check the box simple process, right? And so it's like I love that. And to me, like one of my biggest takeaways from this, just in my personal experience of like wishing I found someone like you earlier,
Mm,
your ability to help someone unlock their potential and what's possible by eliminating some of these blockers, right? That
mhm,
mindset piece, that's amazing. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you
mhm.
do. I'm grateful that we're a guest here in the podcast. So thanks for coming. Any last minutes, anything you want to share before we hop off?
I don't think so. I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the 1% Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lamb, with my guest, Dr. Bianca Busch. Please check out everything on the show links. Check out our YouTube, check out our website. If you're interested in working with an amazing person that sounds, and that's one thing, listen, you can tell by listening to her, she cares. And I think that's number one. First thing that's important is finding someone that cares about you to help you with anything you're working. And so thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. I'm Adam Lamb. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the 1% Doctor. Please be sure to subscribe to the show where you're able to consume more podcasts, get more value, and learn more about doctors potentially just like you. Please tell a friend, review the show, and we'll see you in the next episode.